This time in Goss's Garage, we are going to talk about collateral damage. Now, what in the world could collateral damage be on an automobile? Well, one of the things that puzzles me about many of you is why you ignore noises on the car. Now, one of the most ignored noises that we encounter here in the shop are those of you who you put your foot on the brake and it makes a grinding noise and you say, oh, okay, well, it's just whatever, and you pass it off as nothing. Well, that grinding noise may be that what has happened is the friction material, the stuff that actually stops the car, has worn completely away. Now, behind the friction material, we have this steel plate. And it's this steel plate that is pushing against the brake rotor. All right, we can see this rotor is all torn up here from having metal pressed against it over a period of time. So that grinding noise you hear when you apply the brakes, it may go away, yeah, but that point, probably you will have no brakes and you're more than likely going to hit something. So brake noises need to be checked, and they need to be checked right away. Anytime you have any kind of a change in the noise that your brakes make, well, you should have the brakes checked. Now, that applies not only to brakes that all of a sudden start making noise, but to brakes that have historically made noise from the get-go, even with new pads and everything on it. They've always made noise, and that noise goes away. Well, you get the brakes checked. Now, one thing a lot of people say, well, my car stops fine. Well, yeah, it probably does, because steel against steel is a great stopping force. But it's not going to stop properly or efficiently or any other kind of way in a panic situation, so you're going to be in trouble. Get the brakes checked. But what about collateral damage? Well, when these two pieces of metal are grinding themselves into oblivion, what's going on is real simple. You're just spewing all kinds of metal particles out of this, and those metal particles may go to something else in your car. And here's the collateral damage right here. This is a hub bearing off of a modern car. Now, all modern cars have ABS brakes. It's been quite a number of years since that's been mandated. Many of them also have traction control systems. And the way these systems work is that as this hub spins, because out here is going to be the wheel attached to it, the brake rotor and then the wheel. And now we're going to take a sensor and we're going to place it something like this. We can see one actually installed over here. And this is going to take a reading from really fine teeth that are mounted onto this part that's spinning. Now those teeth, every time one of those teeth comes past this sensor, it creates a signal. That signal is carried by a wire up to the car's computer. And it looks at those signals and determines if there's any interruption in the signals. All right, well, here's where going too far with bad brakes comes into play. Some of these, even this one over here, there are ways for these metal filings to get into this hub. And the bad part of this is steel, so it's magnetic, and a lot of these have a very slight magnetism to them. And as we can see on this one, there's all kinds of metal filings deposited in there. They stick right to that tone ring for the ABS and traction control. Now what that does is that it interrupts the signal that this sensor can produce. And now what do? Well, you had your brakes done, and next thing you know, you have an ABS light or a check engine light or a traction control light. Some one of the warning lights comes on and you take it in. Well, a lot of technicians don't know about checking for this debris in here. They don't know about this being magnetic and so on, so they just overlook it. And maybe what they do is they do a test on the car and it shows no signal from this bearing right here. They put a new bearing in. Well, that certainly will fix the problem, but it could be anywhere from $300 to $1,000 to do it. When an air hose and a little bit of brake clean, you can blow that out of there, clean it out, and save hundreds of dollars. So remember that if you've had metal against metal on your brakes, and you've had a brake job done, and you still have or soon after get an ABS or traction control light or anything like that, remember, have the technician check for metal filings on the tone ring that's built into the hub bearings on many of these cars. Could save you hundreds of dollars. And if you have a question or a comment, how about dropping me a line right here at radio@goss-garage.com.